which is a definition of a false Christ, because they're not actually persecuted or bullied to the excess and the extreme, as in my case. Because I don't think anyone's ever heard of this. For a woman to contact the police, to speak to a woman police officer who would only echo my problem and say it is my problem, she would not provide me any advice, and she would block any advice or anything that's supposed to be supporting me. She would find a way to block it. So I am treated differently, which is a discrimination. And they want to demonize Christians. How could I be a victim tyrant or a false Christ, who is Christ who is with me, Emmanuel, when I cannot bully anybody when I've been alone for nearly 10 years? And the 10 years when my daughter was living with me as a single mum, I wasn't a bully then either. It's them that are the bullies. So that's how they want to create what they've done to me worldwide against religious people, not only Christians, but anybody that claims to be worshipping God in the spirit and truth. Immediately, they will send an echo to the police, which is corruption in the police, or military even, to say we must close down this religious place or close down her social platform as we don't like what she's saying, because it's exposing the evil that they do. And they echo it, like similar as saying Chinese whispers. Rather than giving advice and support when the victim is in trouble, they won't, unless I am a tyrannical victim. In that case, they would offer me support and advice. But because they know I'm a genuine victim, they will block it, prevent progress, because they want to bar me from rebuilding my life after they've destroyed it. Because they know I'm not a child, and they know that they can't abuse me. They can't rebuild me. They want to destroy in order to build. That's how an antichrist and a false Christ works. It has to destroy in order to build, and that's what it has to offer, which is very tempting. It's a temptation to say, I can take away all my responsibility and totally trust and totally rely on a corrupt government or official, authoritarian, who's going to destroy me in order to rebuild me. And this is the only way to remain strong, is to do everything that an antichrist or a false Christ tells me, whether it is a gangster or a government. So that's why I think we should do away with it all. But it seems impossible, as they have weapons. They can put me in prison for saying this. So it seems impossible to do it, and only God can do it by a natural disaster, like a hurricane or a giant storm that can wipe off a lot of these tyrannical victims and false Christs, in other words, and antichrists, by a natural disaster such as a comet or the same thing that wiped out the dinosaurs. Another thing, the other biggest mistake that is very similar to what I'm encountering is treating children and young adults who are students as aliens, because they're not professional and because they haven't achieved the diploma and degrees and their criteria of expertise, being an expert in whatever subject they're studying in. So they're treated like aliens or a number rather than children and teenage adolescents and young adults, because they need to move to university, they need to become a professional. And this is the biggest mistake, because they want the children to grow up too young, which is evil. Another thing that is very evil is saying that during a crisis you have to remain cool, calm and collected. And that, again, it seems impossible to do that, and yet the very ones that do it are cruel, merciless, calculating, and they don't suffer like the poor people suffer, or like the people that don't have a weapon or protection. So they wouldn't know. So the people that are suffering, who are poor without weapons or protections, they don't know any better. And this is how we're being taken advantage of, which is evil. To say we cannot behave in a certain manner during an emergency and urgency at a local place, at home, at work, at an education place, or even at a religious place. Because the more you panic expressing urgency, the more you are labelled as a mentally sick retard. They often make remarks and say this person must be mentally sick, suffering anxiety, paranoia, or panic attacks, which is totally evil and out of order, because it's a natural human emotion to express danger, look around, be alert, pass it on so people are aware of the fact. If you cannot actively do something, then maybe someone else can do it for you to help you. If you cannot actively make yourself comfortable and you're injured, someone else can do it for you and help you to find that comfort zone in the dangerous situation. So it is the right thing to be loud in an emergency, talk a lot, pass on the videos in an emergency, ask for advice, lots of advice, because some advice can be there as a misguidance. And this is the right teaching, whereas the wrong teaching is be calm, cool and collected and perform acting skills. Put your emotion in a Pandora's box for adults. And they also teach that for children, which is what they've done, who are much older. So, including my foster mum. She's much older generation, and probably in her 90s now. So she's been teaching my daughter to grow up too fast, to hide her emotions, and it's good to keep secrets. This is the advice for adults. It is not appropriate advice for children, and yet it's wrong teaching for children, and yet they have it anyway. according to Children's Social Services, that indoctrinate. This is the wrong teaching that they indoctrinate. Children are the minority compared to the adults. There's more adults in the world, in every nation, than there are children. And they should not be treated as an alien. And the old-fashioned bad tradition, which says children must be seen and not heard. So they can be abused and be afraid to say anything because of this bad teaching. Modernization through the government, entertainment, education, workplace, even recreational, what am I saying? I meant to say creational activities, being creative,